All right, so what we're doing here, I'm going to show you an amazing little recipe that I'm making up for dinner tonight. Something super quick that I think you'll like, and pretty impressed, really, or impressed. I'm impressed. It's impressive to those people that you're having over for dinner, or your lady friends, or your man friends, or whatever. Pretty simple recipe that seems like you spend a whole lot of time with it. So, also, these are Sarah's Honey Baby's green onions. She takes green onions, cuts the top off, uses them, sticks them in these little jars with water, and they grow right back. So you've always got plenty of those to use. But I'm going to make a stuffed shrimp. So what I've got here, and it looks terrible because I poked my finger in it to make sure it was softened. half a stick of cream cheese. That'd be, I think, 4 ounces. I have some cheese that I shredded. This is just some cheddar. Any kind of cheese you have around is going to be great for this. Again, it's going to seem like you spent a lot of time on these when you really didn't. This is crab meat. This is one of those places where you can buy the cheapest crab meat you can find because you don't really want the lump stuff for putting on these shrimp. You want this really fine grated stuff, and there's still some of the juice in here. I drained off a little bit of it, but there is some in there. 6 ounces of that. A little salt. Now, Honey Baby says a lot of times, you all probably don't hear it, but a lot of times, you're the most amazing man ever. You're incredible. Because I got these little salt and pepper shakers that like do the thing for you, and all you do is hold it over the top. Needless to say, that was a win. She may not like them quite as much as I do, but so I've got some Old Bay. Give it a pretty good douse of the Old Bay. I will put a little bit of onion in these. Now, this is one of those, a lot of times when Sarah and I are doing these recipes and stuff, you know, I always say don't spend too much time on your hacking and your cutting and all that, because a lot of it doesn't matter. This is one where it kind of does, because these cook so fast. Because it's just shrimp and the crab meat and all that's already cooked, that you're not going to get a lot. Whoa, it's making some cool popping sound. You're not going to get a lot of cooking time on these. So if you think that you're going to put these onions in there and you're going to cook these bad boys until they're done, if they're in big pieces, that's not going to happen. Simply because, like I said, they're not going to be in the heat for my guess would be when we finally do these, this will happen in just 3 or 4 minutes aside maybe. And that's not quite enough a lot of times to cook onions, especially if they're in very big pieces. So make sure you spend a little bit of time on that part of it. Get those as fine as you can. You don't have to use them. You could use some green onion, especially for some color. But I like a little bit of it in there. That's about not even a quarter of a red onion. And then I've got a couple of these little tops here that Sarah's growing. I'll just throw these in there because they make for some nice color. These don't really need to cook. They're just going to add a little sprig of color to it. It's not going to make a big deal, really. So, I've got that. That's about enough to make me cry. Let me get a spoon in here. Never think about the spoon. So again, the crab meat, the cream cheese, the cheese, Old Bay, salt, pepper, a little bit of onion. There's not a ton of it in there. Now my cream cheese kind of over softened. These are going to be pretty soft, so I'll probably put them back in the fridge for a few before I cook them. Ooh, that smells good, because that's awfully soft there right now. Now what I could do is add a little breadcrumbs to that to kind of tighten it up a little. I'm going to throw in a little Parmesan, because I like these to be cheesy. That's a couple of different kinds of cheese. And then I have some breadcrumbs. I'll throw a little of that in there, just to kind of tighten it up a little. It'll make that filling just a little bit tighter. I may have to honestly throw in a little bit more in that. Then I've got some breadcrumbs in that. You don't have to do an egg wash on these, simply because it's gonna stick to the breadcrumbs anyway. So when you take your shrimp, you want to kind of butterfly these down. Now, could you use pre-cooked shrimp? Probably not. I mean, I've never done it with pre-cooked shrimp. I don't know how you would. I'm going to have to tighten that up for sure, because that is pretty loose right there. So if you run into this, like I've got it here, and basically you just want to make this little crab meat ball around this. If you run into this where it's literally too wet, all you got to do is put this back in the fridge for a minute or tighten it up with some breadcrumbs. So I will do that here in just a second. I'm going to drop that in my breadcrumbs. Let me wash my hand off here and I'll show you this. So you take your breadcrumb, that's my Parmesan. No, that's my breadcrumb. Don't know what's what. And you just kind of hit that with it a little bit. Again, you don't need an egg wash because it sticks to these anyway. And then just sort of form these out. And inside there, you've got the shrimp. And then you've got the crab meat and cheese stuffing on it. Now again, put these in the fridge for a few minutes before you cook them. You could then bake them or you could fry them. Either way, they're delicious. I'll probably fry these because we're from Kentucky and that's what we do. You could easily just bake them. Slap them in a baking dish. But anyway, fry these up on both sides about 3 minutes aside and they will be phenomenal. Crab stuffed shrimp. Give this one a run. You're going to like this one. And I'll post a picture of it when I cook them later.